So the U.S. and Japan are treaty allies, and that's been an alliance that has been in place for decades. The alliance for many years, up until very recently, was somewhat one-sided, meaning that the U.S. had an obligation to come to Japan's aid in the event of an attack by a third party on Japan. But Japan did not have a reciprocal responsibility to come to the U.S. aid. The Prime Minister of Japan has decided that that type of unequal treaty relationship is not good for either the United States or Japan, in part because he feels that if Japan does not have a reciprocal obligation to protect the United States, then Japan is less valuable as a U.S. ally. So he's taken steps, legal steps, to change the way that Japan views its own military and to ensure that from this point forward, Japan has an equal responsibility to come to the U.S.'s aid. Part of the reason why many people in Japan feel that Japan needs to have its own independent military and foreign policy capabilities, even within the context of the existing alliance with the United States, is people are not as confident that the United States will have the same influence in Asia as it's historically had. Despite multiple administrations stressing the importance of Asia and the commitment of the United States to maintain very strong alliances there and to remain involved in the region, the broader idea that Japan may now be in alliance with the United States that no longer has the will or ability to have the same level of influence in Asia that it had before. That is making many people think that even if Japan does not want to take a larger role in the region, if the U.S. no longer can provide leadership, or at least the same level of leadership, then it really is something that Japan needs to step up and do by itself. There is deep concern. I am not convinced that normal people, your regular Joes in Japan, are following our election closely, but there definitely is a feeling in the general population and in the political establishment that this is one of the most important elections for them that anyone has experienced. I think there are two things about the United States election that are very confusing for the Japanese. One is the element that race plays in the election discussion, and also the issue of immigration and the role that that plays in political debate. Japan is a country that is far more diverse than it often admits, but still does not have anything near the broad variety of people with different backgrounds from different countries that the United States does. Nor is it likely that they ever will. So immigration for them and the race issue that dominates so much political debate here is just something that they have trouble grasping. And they sense that that type of issue is driving so much of the conflict that people talk about here, the divides that people talk about here in the United States. But those are divides that are I would argue, are either absent or very, very small in Japan. So the chief drivers, or at least some of the chief drivers of the election here, are exactly the sorts of things that are most difficult for Japanese to understand.